This is KUGAN CASSIUS for IFLTV. Delighted to be joined by Mr. Gareth A. Davies, somewhere in the world. How are you, Gareth?
I, I am indeed. I'm in the Eastern Mediterranean, just enjoying a few days away. Back this evening, after a very, very busy week in Riyadh, as you know, because I do believe you were there, working your blessed cotton socks off till 4 in the morning every day. I managed to get sleep at 3. I think you were going to bed about half 4, 5. And I do believe that when you left, I don't think you'd slept for a day.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's true. That Saturday, obviously, I left on the Sunday night, but yeah, we're still interviewing you at 6 in the morning. So
You were, that's right. 6 in the morning. Yeah, you'd woken me up. You called me 9 times, wake me up, um, with no rhyme or reason other than just to hassle me to get me up at 6 a.m. 5 a.m. Was it 5 a.m., 6 a.m.?
five,
But I
six.
tell you what, there's been a lot of chat since about Moses Itauma, which is fascinating for me. A lot of chat.
We'll come on to Moses Itauma and a little another recap of the weekend in due course, but. Obviously, the main talking point from this week, Gareth, is out of the blue. We were led to believe that a deal for Anthony Joshua and Jake Paul was imminent. Eddie Hearn, even on that day, I interviewed him, and he was kind of hinting that this is
Mm,
very close, without saying a lot. And
yeah.
then later on that day, when was it? Wednesday, we saw that Jake Paul will fight Javante Tank Davis in what is being labelled as an exhibition uh, in November. I mean, to your understanding, do you have any information regarding the breakdown of why the Joshua fight hasn't happened? I mean, I've seen some reports regarding the broadcaster issues, but do you know anything more?
Yeah, well, fit weirdly, I mean, not weirdly, but some um, conveniently, I spoke to Eddie on Saturday night and Frank Smith, at the venue arena just before we were about to get underway at the event, saying, is there any veracity to these rumours that it is drawing closer that Anthony Joshua and Jake Paul would sign a deal to fight each other? Not a fight I condone. I mean, obviously, it's a huge commercial event if it does happen, but it's not a fight I condone in any way, shape, or form because I just don't think it's a fair contest for Jake Paul. It's a very dangerous fight for him. Um, and Eddie said, yeah, and he's probably going to earn 80 million for it. And I reported it at the time, both on the Talksport broadcast and Telegraph Sports. But then I also had a conversation with someone from DAZN very high up, and they said it ain't going to happen because Jake Paul wants the fight to be on Netflix, and Anthony Joshua is exclusively signed to DAZN. And so the broadcast situation is definitely one of the reasons why, if not the complete package as to why. But I think there's still a possibility of the fight going ahead, but Joshua's going to have to step away from his DAZN responsibilities to do that, I think, because it will be a bigger event. And maybe Jake Paul will come over to, I think he's a fight by fight basis with Netflix. I think he'll come over to DAZN if he has to. I don't want that fight to take place, even though I'll be working on it. I know that sounds hypocritical or ironic, but you have to cover these things when they do happen. But for me, this whole scenario is out of the frying pan and into the fire because, as I say, I think the idea of Jake Paul and Anthony Joshua fighting is a very dangerous thing for Jake Paul. And Javonte Davis against Jake Paul is so different because this guy is 8 inches shorter, 7 weight divisions below him, 5 stone different in weight. I know he's a pound for pound top 10, but basically he's going to be punching Jake Paul's navel or having to throw a giant leaping left hook and Superman punch to get anywhere near him. But for me, again, the matchup is out of the frying pan and into the fire, because it doesn't really do anything. Again, it's a peculiar and fascinating matchup. Obviously, less danger for Jake Paul. Pick a winner, and it's got to be Gervonta. For me, Jake Paul is a very poor big un against a very, very good little un, and I think the little un wins this, but I think he batters him around the body. Do you not think it's an odd matchup?
Massively. It's massively odd, just considering that, we're never talking about Jake Paul and Canelo, okay? Even though it's Canelo, size-wise, there wasn't as much fuss as the Joshua situation, and that was because of how heavy-handed someone like Anthony Joshua is at elite level and the size of him. So, like you said, to go from that, even though Gervonta Davis is a ferocious puncher, one of the hardest hitting punchers at the weight, it's, I mean, I can't really get my head around it. I mean, I know it's been billed as an exhibition.
You'll be there though, won't you?
Yeah, I mean, we'll all be there, but
Yeah. Bale Farm, Atlanta, November the 14th. Look, I'm selling it.
Gareth, is there any other things you heard or rumours of why, aside from any broadcast situation, why the Joshua fight fell through with Jake Paul?
Well, I'm hoping that we're nearing completion with an Anthony Joshua Tyson Fury fight as well. Tyson Fury on the pads, people were putting 2 and 2 together, back with his father. Looking good with his dad by the caravan, going back to the old ways. I think Fury's probably getting the itch. Hopefully that fight can be made in an instant. Well, not in an instant. They're going to have to go over all the detail, get Robert Davis, the lawyer, involved, and Joshua's big team and Hearn. But I think there is talk, isn't there, that Jake Paul's his next 2 fights are going to be Gervonta Davis and then Anthony Joshua next year at Wembley. And it's amazing that you've been pursuing me. I'm on holiday. You've been pursuing me for 2 days to talk about this, because it's such a big story. Because the outcome of what Anthony Joshua does next and what Jake Paul does next, whether we like it or not, it really, really kind of is significant in boxing. People say, "Oh, you're making it more significant by talking about it," but it needs to be talked about. Hopefully, Anthony Joshua doesn't end up fighting Jake Paul KUGAN, and that this sends it sideways. And in the meantime, we get Fury and Joshua signing a fight. That's my hope. And I've just finished watching the entire series of Tommy Fury last night, The Good, the Bad, and the Fury. Have you seen it yet?
Not yet, but I will watch it.
I watched it last night. John and Tommy and Roman were very good on it. And I think that's the other fight that's out there. And Tommy's got 1 fight left, and that is Jake Paul. Because of his broken hands and his injuries. And Jake Paul will want to get in there with Tommy and avenge defeat him after what was a very close fight. Tommy revealing on that series, spoiler alert, turn away now, turn the volume down now, that his hand was terribly damaged when he fought Jake Paul and several others. So, bizarre things to be talking about, but unfortunately, it's, I saw a headline earlier today, and I really agree with it. One of the websites, that boxing circus events are the things that are very, very much talked about at the moment. But I think it's always been that way, really, in the history of boxing. When Ali fought Antonio Inoki, it was a big deal. The Japanese wrestler. The only time that the Japanese fans have revolted, if you like, at an event and been annoyed and felt there was a disgrace because Inoki lay down the whole time and shifted his body around and kicked Ali to the legs. And Ali couldn't get anywhere near him. And you know the story about Arthur Craven fighting Jack Johnson all those years ago. I've told you that story before, whether he was an intellectual and he won the French light heavyweight championship because he was the only guy that turned up, Oscar Wilde's nephew. And then he ended up fighting Jack Johnson. Do you know this story?
Told me this before on air.
You remember it?
Yeah.
He ended up fighting Jack Johnson, who was on tour in Europe at the time, and curled up like an embryo every time he was touched. Did Arthur Craven. So, in the bull ring in Spain, there was a riot there because people paid good money at a brand new bull ring, 6,000 of them, to see the French light heavyweight champion against Jack Johnson on European tour. But there's always been kind of weird circus events. And the trouble is, the marketeering of Jake Paul is so clever that we're always going to be talking about him.
Well, Ali fought that wrestler. What was his name?
Sorry?
The wrestler that Muhammad Ali fought. What was his name?
But Antonio Inoki.
So, Gareth, in regards to Anthony Joshua, do you think that now, I suppose irrelevant really what happens next year, that Joshua will look to fight back end of the year, maybe in January? So, does the Yoka situation come back into play? Was it ever in play? Because otherwise,
Yeah, I think it was in play for an Africa event, a tune-up fight, potentially in Africa. They were talking about having an event there, so I think that was the opponent for that. Or if it was going to be in the UK, it was a warm-up opponent for him. But Yoka brings enough threat. If they were thinking of a 2-fight scenario or 3-fight scenario, say with Tony Yoka, Anthony Joshua, Tyson Fury, and Jake Paul, whatever order they're in. Obviously, the order I prefer it in. That Yoka brings certain threats. I mean, surely Joshua wants to fight Tyson Fury. Probably wants a rematch at some point with Daniel Dubois, if he does. And as Eddie Hearn has pointed out time and time again in multiple interviews now, he's not going to turn Anthony Joshua away from earning his word 60, 70, 80 million pounds, maybe 100 million US dollars to step in the ring in a win-win for him personally against Jake Paul, but obviously not for boxing.
It's difficult to see what Joshua does there. I mean, there's not been any kind of word. I haven't seen any word. I know Eddie Hearn's out in Brisbane at the moment for his show out there, but I've not heard any kind of reasons to why or what the plan is with Joshua kind of moving forward then.
Well, he's been out of the ring nearly a year in a couple of weeks' time, and we haven't seen any idea that he's coming back to fight at all. So, he's very wealthy. He's been enjoying himself around the world. Good on him. He's been amazing for British boxing and world boxing. And he's not in any hurry to do so. And I was having this conversation earlier in the week. I think it might have been with Dave Coldwell on Fight Night Extra, who joined me this week on TalkSport, that the truth is that Joshua Fury fight may well end up happening way after when we think it's past its sell-by date, much as Mayweather and Pacquiao did. It's still the biggest grossing fight in fight sports history. They know the fight's there. They're both very wealthy, Fury and Joshua, and they know that fight could probably happen at any time, even though the very best time is now, really.
Excuse me. Let's go back to Riyadh. Obviously, we spoke to you on that Sunday morning. We've kind of, I mean, what do we really learn that we didn't know after Sunday? The Moses Itauma and Alexander Usyk, that situation, I think probably you'll agree that probably won't happen next, even though I know Turkey's put out that that's what he wants to see, but I can't see that happening as Moses' next fight, can you?
No, it's too big a risk for what they've done very cleverly, and I do listen. First of all, let me underwrite this by saying that I do really rate Moses Itauma. Everything I hear about him in the background, I don't get to watch him sparring, unfortunately, with all these big heavyweight names, or haven't, but I know an awful lot from people who are not with vested interests in his career, but have seen a lot of sparring sessions, saying that both with Tyson Fury, with Daniel Dubois, with Joe Joyce, he's looked fantastic, and this is from the age of 15 onwards. He could well end up being a generational talent. To put him in with Usyk now, obviously he would go because he doesn't fear anyone. He'd go in there with him now. I think Usyk beats him now. I think Usyk maybe beats him in 2 fights' time as well. But by the end of next year, when Usyk's coming up 40, he's 40 in January 2027. I think if he's going to fight Moses, it would have to be before then. But maybe he doesn't want to fight Moses, because if he does and Moses wins for any reason, then that's his legacy damaged in some way. But then again, if you're talking $100 million to step into the ring against Moses, maybe he does do it. But next, no. But we can't rule out anything happening at the moment in boxing, because if there's huge money available for it, and it's a Riyadh season seller, Turkey Al Sheikh Ring Magazine event, and there is huge money there, then Moses may take the fight. But if he did lose to Usyk, he loses something in terms of that build of invincibility, the build of certain media terms and promotional terms on, is he the takeover, if you like. I've called him the takeover for a long time now, but or at least 2 years. No, I think a Filip Hrgović, a Jarrell Miller, a Jared Anderson maybe in the United States, a Guido Vianello, a Justice Hooney. Rounds in the bank. It's the only thing he's missing, is rounds in the bank. That's what he needs. But it wouldn't surprise me to see him fighting Joseph Parker in 2 fights' time, 3 fights' time, or even Ajit Kabayel to win a world title. I think for me, I agree with Ring Magazine. I'm in the rankings panel. I think I've told you before. I agree with he should be at number 10 in the rankings right now, even though he's probably capable, and got the potential to step in and beat, if you count Fury as number 2 in the world at the moment, all but the top 4 in the world right now. I think the top 4 in the world, Kabayel, Parker, Fury, and Usyk, would all give him problems.
If there was a turn of events where Moses Itauma was to fight Alexander Usyk next, right, with all them belts on the line, and he was to beat Usyk, would he become the youngest ever undisputed champion ever?
Yeah, he would. He would, correct.
Yeah.
He would.
At any weight.
Mike was 3 fights into 87. Tucker 331. Yeah, he would be he would be the youngest undisputed at heavyweight. Is there any weight division? I didn't know that. Are you sure?
I'm going to check it now. I'm going to have a look.
I'm not sure he would become the youngest undisputed in any weight division in all-time history, because you've got to go all the way back. But I think certainly in the heavyweight division he would be, and he would do it. I wanted to say the quickest in terms of fights and rounds, but
this is from AI.
Okay, well, that's very interesting.
Hold on. The youngest undisputed boxing champion is Gabriela Fondora, who became
really
undisputed flyweight champion at the age of 22. So he would be at 20 if they were. I mean, look, I don't think this situation would have
I can't look up in my phone right now because I'm using my phone, but you got to remember that Mike Tyson, 28 fights he'd had when he beat Trevor Berbick. Then he had 3 more fights when he beat Tony Tucker to become undisputed champion in that Don King tournament. I'm not sure, how old was he then? Was that 88? I can't remember the date.
Hold on. The youngest undisputed heavyweight champion, this is AI again, in history is Floyd Patterson.
Oh, well, there you go.
He is,
Because it was undisputed at the time, because there was only really one belt.
yeah, 21 years and 10 months and 26
Yeah, there you go. Okay, fair enough. I know obviously he's the second youngest in history anyway to be a heavyweight world champion, and Moses will probably beat that record.
While Mike Tyson is the youngest heavyweight champion overall, he became
Yeah, but that's when he beat Tony.
Later.
That was when he beat Trevor Berbick. Yeah.
all right. Bit of
Well, the thing is, if Moses did that, the issue he's got then is it's a very similar story to Mike Tyson's in many ways. And look, he did look brilliant against Dillian White. Look, Dillian probably has seen better days if we're honest about it. He had seen better days, but he got himself in shape. And Moses was brilliant against him, and you can't take that away from him. He was concise, he was accurate, he was patient, even though it only took him 1:59 to stop Dillian. He's a very special talent. Of that, there is no doubt whatsoever. To be 20 years old and do what he did, he's 21 on December the 28th. To go in and do what he did, to be nerveless like he is extraordinary. You know, you were around him all week. He really grew in the week. His comportment was extraordinary. And it's great to be around it. And we've got a new, very big story in our hands. And the problem he's got anyway now is that if they don't build him with those opponents and he gets rounds, he's going to have to fight all the champions. If he did beat USYK now, and I know we're speculating and pontificating, and it probably won't happen, he's going to have to fight Kabayel, Parker and Kabayel, and then Joshua, and then Dubois, and then Okoli, and then Bukoli, and another one again, and and I could see a similar thing to what happened to Mike Tyson, where after beating Trevor Berbick, he went 9 fights, and then he was beaten by Buster Douglas on that night in February 1990 in Tokyo. And that's what will happen. I'm not predicting it will happen, but that at some point could well happen to Moses. The hunger's gone a little bit. The wealth is extraordinary. The fame is there. And that's why I disagreed with Eddie Hearn ringside the other day, where I think Moses can be as big, if not bigger, than Anthony Joshua was. And that's not taking anything away from Anthony Joshua. But this kid has got so much ability. If things go well for him and he isn't beaten and that bubble doesn't burst too quickly, and I mean, I don't mean it's a fake bubble. I mean the bubble of the oxygen of publicity that he gets. If it doesn't burst too soon, then he's going to be enormous. And Joshua never conquered America either. And Moses might have the wherewithal to conquer America as well.
Well, we shall see how that all plays out. Gareth, just the last one before I let you go.
Well, can I not go back to my holiday now? Is that not enough for you?
One question, one last question. There are strong reports suggesting that Daniel Dubois will link up with Tony Sims after his parting.
Well, he is linking up with Tony Sims.
All right, but I've not seen anything official. Have you?
No, Daniel wouldn't confirm it on TalkSport yesterday, but we know he's moving to Tony Sims.
Okay,
What's your question?
Strong reports suggest.
Yeah.
Said, unless we've heard an official statement, I have to word it like that. After his parting away with Don Charles, so Sims now adding obviously Johnny Fisher and now Daniel Dubois to his stable. Good move for Dubois.
Oh, it's a very good look. I mean, I feel for Don. Excuse me. I feel for Don because I thought Don was very good for Daniel, and obviously, in his tenure, excuse me, in his tenure, there's that brilliant victory over Anthony Joshua at Wembley Stadium. And I thought Don was good for him, but I think Tony Sims will be good for him as well. He's an old school trainer. You know him very well, like I do. I've known him a very long time. He's very good with people. He doesn't change them too much. All he does is finesse and caress in his way. He's very much the headmaster. Not such a loud voice as Don, but he gets his message over. It's a great little stable. He's got a little, well, not necessarily a little stable, but yeah, I think it's a good move. And I allied to Sam Jones being his manager now and being perhaps helping him with his resonance, with his projection. You know what Sam's like. So yeah, I think it's a good move. I think obviously people don't move unless they feel like they need a change, you know, and why wait? Obviously, Stan, the man, his dad will be involved in that in the background as well. And yeah, but I wish him well. I think Tony's brilliant anyway. Yeah, and it's a vibrant gym. I say the Bosch machine is in there. Obviously, they're on completely different levels, of course, but that will help Johnny that he's able to be around there with Daniel Dubois, and that's brilliant for him. Conor Benn in there. They're preparing for a big fight was it November the 15th against Chris Eubank. So it'll be very vibrant in that gym. I just hope he can get enough attention from Tony.
Yeah, I think it's a very interesting move. But yeah, shout out to Don Charles, because obviously he kind of was very influential and pivotal in that world title win in front of 90,000 people against Joshua. So we'll see how that move goes with Tony Sims. Right, Gareth, I'll let you go and crack on with your pina coladas and
We're at Margaritas.
margaritas.
Yeah, and for those complaining that my buttons aren't done up, it's about 40 degrees here, so
It's fine.
yeah. Have a great Friday evening. I will see all the boxing fans who watch TalkSport. See you tomorrow night on Fight Night Extra. Oh, sorry, on Fight Night with me and Adam Catterall. I think we're on 9 till midnight tomorrow night. But don't forget to like. What's it? Like, subscribe, and
Comment, comment, and subscribe.
Like, comment, and subscribe to the brilliant IFL TV, masterfully created by the one and only KUGAN, the big man Cassius.
Thank you very much, Gareth A. Davies.